Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for visiting my Patreon page. My name is Ryan Bell, and I'm excited to tell you about my new project called Life After God. In 2014, I started a blog called Year Without God, which you can still read at yearwithoutgod.com. That blog was about my own personal faith deconstruction. I had a feeling at the time that I was losing my faith, even though I didn't know how that journey would end. And so I gave myself a year to really explore the tenets of my faith, my doctrines, the belief systems of various Christians, and also to understand atheism and agnosticism. And I spent the year reading and studying and talking to people until I finally came to the end of the year and I determined for myself that there wasn't enough reason to believe that God existed. Often when people go through this experience, the very next thing they think is, what do I do now? What is life like after God? After my whole life has been grounded and centered in this world of religion and spirituality, how do I orient myself in a life in a world without God? How do I find community? How do I navigate family issues? What about my friends who were part of my faith tradition, and what bound us together was our belief in God? How do I find a job if I perhaps have lost my job as a result of my changing faith? What about my community that seems predominantly religious? All of these questions are questions that plague people and challenge people who have been raised in a religious context and in a religious environment and who now find themselves on the outside of that community. My goal with Life After God is to help people navigate that difficult space, to hold that space between belief and unbelief, that time in a person's life when they aren't sure what they are exactly, whether they're atheists or agnostics or still Christians of some kind, and they're trying to find out what they are and where they stand and what they can count on and believe in. I find that there are churches, plenty of churches to help people who are trying to keep their faith strong. There are a number of atheist groups for people who have determined for themselves that they don't believe in God anymore. But if you're in that in-between space on that journey, in the process of deconstructing your faith, there's very little available to help you through that process. And I'm just one person, but I see this need, and I've been asked by a number of people to help them with that. And so I've decided to make it an official project of mine. So here's what Life After God entails. Life After God is a community of people who are going on this journey together, questioning their faith, processing their questions, working through the deconstruction of their old worldview, and trying to figure out what remains and what they want to be and believe in the future. So I and others will be providing counseling and coaching for people who are in need of some support as they go through this process. More than that, Life After God will provide an opportunity for people to meet in person, in retreat environments around the country, and in local meetups where people can provide peer support for one another as they go through these challenging times. Deconstructing your faith and finding a new path in life is exciting and fun, even though it is full of challenges. And we want to help provide that safe space for people to do that work. After I resigned from my pastoral ministry of nearly 20 years, I was unemployed for 13 months. Then I found a job at a local homeless services agency here in Los Angeles and worked there for 15 months. Just recently, I was laid off due to a restructuring of that organization, and I've decided to take this as an opportunity to put my full-time energy into creating Life After God, the podcast, the coaching services, the retreats, and other events and programs that will help you and others find their way from faith to what's after, from God to life after God. I would so much appreciate your support. This Patreon page gives you an opportunity to contribute monthly to the expenses related to starting and maintaining this organization, Life After God. Any amount helps me be able to do this work more effectively. If you could share this with your friends and invite them to contribute as well, I would be so grateful. Thank you so much for visiting this page and for checking out this video, and thank you most of all for your support.